Everyone is always asking for the perfect niche that's not saturated. Everyone is seeking blue oceans and everyone is afraid of competition and of saturation. But the beauty of it is that when you understand it and when you figure out exactly where your market is, you realize that actually the markets don't get saturated, the offers get saturated. And just as importantly, there are 5 stages of awareness and 5 stages of sophistication. And this is where we always begin when we craft our new ads, our new offers for the local service business, for our clients who we help with client acquisition. So in case you're wondering, my name is Shaban. I've spent over $10 million in ads in social media over the last 4 years. And I've worked with 6, 7, 8, 9-figure brands, even 3, 10-figure brands, corporates. And now we help clients with B2B acquisition with solutions built entirely for them so that they can basically own them forever and never need to work with marketing agencies again. And this is something we sort of pivoted to very recently when I finally understood this exact diagram that I'm going to walk you through right now, and not just this, but also this diagram. So more on that in a second. Stay tuned and I will explain it by the end of this video. So the first thing that I'm going to outline here is that I have been trying to understand how the market awareness and the market sophistication comes together for a while now. These concepts, in case you've never heard of them, they come from a book called Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz, a good old copywriter. I'm not sure if he coined it. I think he has. I've not come across it anywhere else apart from that. And basically, to keep the long story short, what happens is these map out the market conditions, aka the sophistication, on the OY axis, and then on the other axis, on the OX, we map the market awareness to us, to our problems, to their problems, to our solution and to our product, right? And why is it important to understand both of these combined in this matrix, in this diagram, is this allows us to basically understand immediately where our market is, what claims it's heard, and what offers it's seen, and how we can basically instantly differentiate and decommoditize ourselves, so that we're not perceived as one of many, so that we're not compared on price, on service, and we end up basically having to undercut competitors and make the most ridiculous price, discounts only to get a client in there out of desperation. I'm going to walk you through this really quickly. There's no need to feel daunted by the complexity of this thing, because really all it comes down to is understanding the following thing. There are 5 ways. There are 5 ways you can speak to your market. There's probably actually 6. I forgot how to maths this morning. There's problem, solution, secret, proclamation, story, promise, and offer. All of these are basically angles into how you can craft an ad, how you can craft a VSL, how you can craft an offer, really, to get a market interested. So let's say you work in the solar niche. You could go into the solar niche and there are customers across this continuum, right? There are customers that are unaware. They're unaware that they even have a problem, right? That doesn't really exist. If you're in the solar niche and it comes to getting leads, to getting clients, you are very aware that you need clients, you need leads, right? If you're unaware, then it's hard to talk to you, because you don't really know what you don't know, right? The next one is the need aware. So let's go here. What is unaware? Prospect is either not aware of his desire or his need. He won't honestly admit to himself without being led in by the ad. Or the need is so general and vague that it resists being summed up in a single headline. So you'll have a ton of these tire kickers in sales calls who come in and they're not really clear on what they have, what they want. They haven't even started servicing yet. They haven't even got clients yet. They don't really understand their problems yet. You understand their problems better than them. It's hard to sell to these people. They're not prepared. This is where it gets useful, in the need and problem aware. And these are basically where the prospect has a need and recognizes the need immediately, but does not know the connection between the fulfillment and the need of the need and the product. And equally, prospect knows or recognizes that he wants what the product does, but he does not know that there is a product that satisfies his or her desire. And this is where you can start working. This is where you can start marketing. This is where you can start kind of coming in and offering your lead services, your booked appointment services, your build infrastructure services, right? The problem is that whilst this continuum happens, this happens as well. And this is the market sophistication. And this is where I want to dwell on for a bit longer, which is the market sophistication is such as that first, you may be the first to market, means the market has never received any information about your product before. So you can create being first you can create being first. Even if a market is completely saturated, you can become first entirely by coming in with a technological breakthrough, a radically better product, or a familiar product at a ridiculously low price. That's basically the first place. The first place is the blue ocean, unsaturated, completely ripe, ready for the picking. The second one is when you're second to the market, when the market has started hearing and seeing some claims. It's not quite yet done. By the time it gets to the third point, which is the many claims, they've heard so many exaggerated extremes, similar claims that don't work. They've tried it, they've been burned, thousands of ads have been seen, believability is gone, maybe even tried a few products. That's where it gets tricky. That's where the markets, for all intents and purposes, are saturated. And this is where we spend time figuring out what the heck can we do to get out of it. And then in step 4, prospect has heard a few mechanisms. Again, the way out of many claims to many mechanisms is to exaggerate the claim, the mechanism. So if from the first to the second and the second to the many, the way to come out is to exaggerate the claim, the way from here to here is to exaggerate the mechanism, right? To change the mechanism entirely. You first change it and then you exaggerate it. And then you do that one more time and then the market exhausted. The market no longer believes in advertising. And you can see that in this kind of quarter, they are all very much similar. You can pretty much go and hit it from all these angles. You can speak into the promise, into the problem solution, secret, proclamation, and story. And I will show you what these are in a second. I will actually show you that now. Let's have a look at that. So what are these? Let's start with the ones that you can actually utilize in the first stages. You can utilize promise-led, you can utilize problem solution-led, secret-led, proclamation-led, right? You can see them here. Promise, problem, secret, proclamation, story. So what are they? We can go with promise. A promise is a statement of intention, a prime benefit that the reader will get, a Hollywood mile in 3 days, leads that are unique and exclusive to you. A promise lead must answer the question, if I read this, what will I get in return? They tend to not work in markets where the prospects are highly exposed to marketing messages. So that's why the promise-led disappears on the third row. You can no longer go with promises because they've heard the claims, they're tired of them. It's not going to work. You have to change the mechanism here. You have to offer a new thing, new and better, right? The problem solution, very similar. It's basically speaking into their problem. The prospect recognizes the problem they'd like to change. It's not about educating the reader about his problem because he already knows it. It's more about them feeling that someone understands the problem and situation. The secret one works across the board. It's basically teasing the prospect with a secret. It's the most universally applicable. It allows to keep the prospect reading until the prime benefits and unique selling proposition are fully presented. That's why you can see the secrets pretty much everywhere. Apart from the market exhausted. When the market is exhausted, you can no longer use the secret because it's tired of hearing claims and secrets and the clickbait, right? That's where you can only come in with a story and with proclamation. And I'll go in that in a second. It's about creating identity. It's about covertly enunciating things, and the client, the prospect, will see themselves in that story and they will kind of sell to themselves. That is the only way to sell to a market that's completely burned and saturated and tired of hearing claims, with story selling, which basically means you're not actually making any aggressive claims. You're just giving them examples, anecdotes, and they find and see themselves in it, and that's enough to give you a chance, right? Okay, so what is the story-led? Yeah, the story-led is the promise is embedded in the story through a metaphor he sees himself. Not all sales letters begin with a promise, an offer, or an invitation. Story leads contain a promise, but they are much less direct. If the story is well told, then the reader gets involved emotionally. The effectiveness of stories comes from our unconscious involvement. We don't realize we've been sucked into the drama. So basically the sweet and short of that is what I just said. It's story selling. So now we're going to go to the most interesting part, which is the product aware. The product aware, where the market is increasingly sick and tired of hearing the claims and is becoming immune to them. This is why here the only thing that still holds is the offer and the promise. The offer, the promise, the secret, loosely, but the most important, the most valuable one is the offer. So let's now cover the offer as well. The offer is how you close a sale. Typically you find it at the end of a VSL. You can find it at the end of the cycle, right? But in an offer lead, The offer is brought to the beginning and presented right up front, and it always mentions products, prices, discounts, premiums, guarantees, and related deal elements. So I'll give you an example right now in the solar space. In fact, across most of our industries right now, we use a offer of no upfront fees, $1 to get started. We used it in AI successfully as well. $1 to get started is the thing that's really crushing right now, or working for free. And I don't care what any guru says, to offer your services for free to a market that's extremely skeptic is the way forward, or at least a partial service. Guarantees work initially. You can make initially guarantees, like you don't pay until you get results. You don't pay until if you allow X, then you'll get Y. Yeah, they work initially. The discounted price, that can be strengthened with a guarantee, but we're past that. Even that doesn't work anymore. Why? Because everyone's making up for right now. Look on media library, and you'll see in the ads library, everyone's making the same guarantees. Money back, 5K back, we'll send you a Lambo, all that stuff. That's why it doesn't work. So now you have to actually put your money where your mouth is, because the market, first of all, knows that they can't even enforce it, potentially, if they want to get those refunds. They can always claim, I guess, they can always dispute the payments, but it's not as strong as saying it will work for free until you see results, or, try a partial service, like us. It's a tripwire. It's a tripwire. That's how I like to think of it. And then basically that's how you have it. I am a bit indifferent about the difference between promise, problem solution, secret, proclamation. I'm pretty indifferent about all of these and the story led right now, because I've seen them enough to know that actually that's not necessarily the thing that moves the dial. What does move the dial is whether you are somewhere in this kind of quarter, or whether you are in this part or in this part, because that's where the most important things happen. And those are the saturated market, the saturation of the market, and the awareness of the market goes through the roof. And because of that, right now, we advocate to anyone who doesn't have trust credentials and a brand to go with minimum reduced friction. If you don't have a brand, then what you can do is you can basically ask people to give you a chance, prove yourself that way, build your brand that way. Not to mention that as testimonials are going to get more and more fabricated and faked, the market's going to lose even more of that trust. It's going to get really to a point where seeing is believing. I'm actually going to write that in my notes right now. So there you have it. I'm going to cover this real quick now, so this starts to make a lot more sense. And I'll show you another diagram. So how to beat saturation and decommoditize, differentiate yourself. Why? Because if you don't differentiate, you're never going to be able to charge high prices. You're not even going to be able to sell. You'll always be compared to someone else. Your conversion rates are going to be low. So the way to do that is to niche and to bundle down. Bundling elevates the claim and the mechanism and counters market sophistication, and niching creates identity. So let me show you that real quick. So you have this diagram for the client acquisition solutions, right? The market wanted leads initially. The market wanted leads. If you were first to the market, you could sell leads till the cows came home, right? At some point, that becomes saturated, and there are problems with it. It's expensive. The leads are not exclusive. They're unqualified. You buy them off Angie's, Thumbtack, Bark.com, whatever aggregators. You're not going to be able to get very far with that, especially in a saturated space. So if you are second to the market, your way out of that is to exaggerate the claim. So you exaggerate the claim, you make them cheaper, you make them qualified, you make them exclusive. You're also kind of changing the mechanism at the same time. The fact that now they're qualified and exclusive, that is actually a new mechanism almost, right? It's not just that it's not just that it's the same thing but cheaper. But that hits its own limit as well, and it has hit its limit a long time ago when leads became less appealing to the market. And that's where the market has changed the mechanism. People have started selling booked appointments instead. How did they do that? Well, when you start addressing these problems, you realize people can't book those appointments in, or if they can, they're not qualified, or if they're qualified, well, they're not exclusive. That's how booked appointments came into being. And then from there, the next transition, when the market gets sick and tired of this as well, and when it's heard all of these claims and it doesn't work anymore, or it does work, but it's expensive, or it's all the same, or the market offers the same thing, you can go back into bundling or you can go into niching. And with bundling, you basically build out the entire system. You build the entire client acquisition system for your clients. So you generate the leads, you generate the booked appointments, you get them in, and you even get them closed. You can do that for the client, done for you, or you can do it with the client, done with you. So that means you're leveraged. Or you can go into niche specific systems. So that's niching, and that's creating identity. And this beats market sophistication. Why? Because niching creates identity. It makes it easier to reach the ideal customer profile. You resonate, you speak to attention solar companies, attention whoever, you call them out. And that's how you achieve salience. What does that mean? That means you are present in people's mind when it comes to them making the buying decision. Salience, therefore, resets the sophistication of the market. What does it mean? If you have a brand, if you are known, the sophistication of the market does not apply to you, because the prospect bypasses everything that's in the market and comes straight to you. That's the beauty of having a brand. Also, niching down allows you to achieve that salience in the sense of, yes, you've heard of lead generation solutions, but have you heard of lead generation solutions for your niche specifically? So now you are competing in a category of one. There's fewer, if any, competitors, because you are offering a tailored niche solution, whereas everyone else is speaking broadly to everyone. So that's niching. And the offer, just to re-articulate that, when the markets are saturated, aka sophisticated, the only viable solution is the offer, which is why we say it's not the markets that are saturated, it's the offers. Because if you come in with a new offer, if you come in with a new mechanism, if you come in with something with a tripwire, you can still compete in saturated markets. So what does that look like? First, extreme guarantees. I've already covered that. And then when the market is tired of hearing them or believing them, those performance only or work for friends to see results or paying results, those are the ones that perform the best. The tripwires, the ones that give your prospect a chance to believe you. Partial service becomes incredibly effective. Tripwire low-cost offers. And it helps you build trust and counter the market's skepticism. As you do that, of course, you build more testimonials, you build more credibility, you construct your brand, your clients become your advocates, they get you referrals, the positive flywheel of fulfillment, your fulfillment becomes your marketing, right? It's a positive self-reinforcing flywheel. But because testimonials and case studies can be fabricated, I suspect that in the medium to long term, even that's not going to hold. Unless you have a strong brand to lean on for trust, you'll still have to lean on partial or free service as the only viable solution. And actually, I suspect that this is also why most gurus and service providers, let's call them consultants, whatever, have a low ticket and a high ticket. So I don't care what anyone says about selling high ticket. You're not going to sell high ticket to cold traffic. You won't. You either have a robust brand or you have a low ticket. You minimize the friction distribution. And that's basically it. That is basically a quick run through how to think about offers and how to create differentiated offers even in saturated markets. So yeah, you can look at it as exercise in copywriting, in creating your hooks, creating your leads from these options. Or you can look at it as, am I even missing the mark entirely? Because whilst you can look at this as a, line by line, box by box exercise, you can also look at it as a quick sense check. Am I in here or am I in here? Let's make that real quick for your reference. I'll send it over. If you want it, let me know. Find us on Instagram, shoot us a DM, we'll send this over to you. You can use it for your pitch and also for your deliberation. So am I here or am I here? That is really why you want to be looking at this diagram, because whether you're in one of these or in these or in here, that's going to change your mechanism, your offer, your go-to-market strategy entirely. And really, I will just say it here. You are very unlikely to find yourself in any of this space right now in the lead generation, unless you go down a niche. If you go down a niche where that's not been touched by any of this stuff, you're going to be the first to market again. But if not, if you're in a saturated space, they're going to be straight here or straight here. Many mechanisms have been heard, many claims have been made, or a lot of products have been seen, and so use these basically approaches. And then finally, the big question, so that you don't go into a false positive, is when the ads don't perform, because this is a very practical exercise. It's for the purpose of your ads and your go-to-market strategy. When the ads don't perform, is it the ad or is it the offer's fault? That is a $1 million question. Is it the ad that's unable to convey the offer quickly enough to hook your viewer in, or is it the offer itself that's saturated? And the way to answer that is to test. So obviously you can look at the micrometrics if you are running your own Facebook ads, or if someone else runs them for you. Basically, you can always look at your engagement metrics, like your click-through rate on the ads. You can look at your view-through rate if they're videos. And that's kind of how you're going to get a sense check if your ads are kind of not hitting the mark. But if you're going to test ads over and over with those different approaches, these different angles of problem, solution, secret, proclamation, as per this document, and nothing works, then it's probably not the ad, it's the offer itself, and you're not here, you're probably more like here. And at that point, you will have to make a bigger, a bolder offer with more upfront friction eliminated. So I hope this makes sense. If you want to know more of this, then we have a entire video explaining the way to differentiate in saturated markets, which is what is arguably the most impactful high leverage thing you can do right now to 10x your business, 2x your business, wherever you're stuck. So if you want that, then go in the description, get some sauce, and follow us on Insta, and shoot us a DM if you want any help with this, or book an appointment, and we'll see where you are and how we can help you get to the next level. All right, to your success.